link control. One of the big benefits to the RSG as well is having the ability to control where traffic is going and how you're routing things out to the internet, what path it's taking, and be able to aggregate multiple different uplinks. So obviously, everyone's kind of familiar with the backup link, that sort of a thing, where you have your primary line goes down and you fail over to another line. It's pretty standard. A lot of equipment offers that. We also have the ability to just combine multiple different uplinks and essentially load balance our users across those networks as well. And as I mentioned in the last part, the ability to limit particular types or particular destinations of traffic to go through a particular uplink.
I want to add a unique application that the uplink can have the same gateway that which router usually will just go crazy on.
Yeah, so that's definitely tends to happen, especially when you're talking about different pools of addresses that all go through the same carrier and that sort of thing. It will allow you to create that as necessary. So yeah, there's definitely, I remember Arden House and
So I'll talk about a crazy experience. So we have that actually helped me set that up. It's a mountain, about 100 miles north of here. There is literally on top of a mountain that has no internet. Verizon would want $250,000 to run the fiber to it. So the only answer is to run satellite. And satellite modem has a very unique thing is they have the same damn gateway. Like you put in any other kind of firewall, it was like invalid. You cannot have the same gateway to be the uplink. It just would not allow it. Well, RSG does that, no problem.
So the way, as I kind of mentioned, there's two ways that you can, when you start having multiple uplinks, there's two ways you can do it. You can set it up as a failover situation or a load balancing situation. So right on this box, we've only got one uplink. However, if we had multiple, you would see when we go to create a link control, you would just have another checkbox for your other uplink object. And if you've got multiple uplinks associated with one link control, essentially the users on the network get load balanced across those networks. And obviously, as a device is browsing the internet, you don't necessarily want them jumping back and forth between different uplinks. So essentially when a device comes on the network, they get NATed to a particular IP address on a particular uplink. And really the way that the load balancing works, it only really takes effect when you have multiple devices on the network where people get sent to different uplinks.
Yeah, I'm used to Microtech. Well, it's a pure NAT translation. It will bounce it across the different uplinks. So it kind of gets screwy.
Yeah, it tends to cause some issues with certain things, particularly you're going on banking sites and stuff like that. Things get a little wonky there. So we basically have a sticky NAT translation to a client once they come on the network, unless all of their states disappear and they've kind of left the network, and there's a chance when they come back they'll be on a different IP address. But generally speaking, we aim to keep people on the IP address that they get assigned when they join the network. Unless, of course, we change the policy around, like let's say we detect their BitTorrent traffic and we want to move them off of our expensive fiber uplink and put them on our crappy cable that no one really cares about, whatever. You can do that, and it will obviously change those NAT assignments as necessary, but we don't do that when it's not necessary.
So, and this gets back to my question before about having a default on or a greedy kind of thing. So, if you create a link control and then you go and create a new policy, by default that policy doesn't get out anything, right? And then you have to come back to the link control and remember to turn it on.
it would still go out the primary uplink. So they wouldn't,
Okay.
yeah, they wouldn't just have no internet access, but they would be part of a load balance and control until you select.
Okay.
Yeah, so generally speaking, it's not easy to mistakenly keep a device from getting to the internet. Try not to let that happen. The only way you can really affect that is to purposefully, put in a filter that's driving that
Try to
traffic.
find all sorts of ways. We had a load balance going between a static and a dynamic. The dynamic was giving out an IP address that was already configured in. So it could route to itself. You name it, we can do it.
Yeah, so that's the one thing. So in terms of the failover between uplinks, obviously when one link goes down, we want to move all our users off to the working uplink. In order for that to actually work, we need to make sure that we can properly monitor the uplinks and make sure that we can tell when something's up and down. Obviously, we've got a link on the port, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's working. And that gets done by specifying ping targets on the uplink. So generally speaking, you want to be pinging something out on the internet, and the RxG will send traffic specifically through this uplink, make sure that we can hit that remote site, and be able to make sure that this uplink is actually functioning. And when we set up the ping targets, we have the ability to control the timeout values and the number of attempts before it's marking the uplink is down. But when you have multiple uplinks, it's very important to make sure that you've got ping targets tied to your uplinks. Otherwise, you're just relying on the physical link connectivity doesn't work, which usually doesn't mean anything. And a lot of people tend to make.
Fresh coffee to ship.
All right. Anyone's Jonesing? You gotta grab some coffee.
By the way, there's a useful one in addition to Google now. Cloudflare has 1.1.1.1.
1.0.0.1.
It's nice having a couple of these.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people make the mistake of making the ping target their default gateway for the uplink. Not a good idea. Because a lot of times you have connectivity to the gateway, but it dies after that. So you want to make sure that you're actually pinging something out on the internet and you have full round truth. When you've only got one uplink, it's not necessary to have ping targets tied to it because nothing's going to happen to your up or down. Yeah.
Does it automatically fail back after the
Yes.
connection comes on?
Yes. Although we will ship people back to their uplink.
So in the case of multiple uplinks, how does the licensing changes? Because some of them, like with 100 SUL, we can do the speed of 200. So is it each link can do
Yeah.
200, or
Yes.
it has to be?
It's the validation on the actual uplink. So when you create an uplink, you specify what is the throughput that you've been assigned by your ISP. It's not going to allow you to save a value in here that exceeds the limit for that particular license. But it's on a per uplink basis that validation happens.
But if you're allowed 2 uplinks at 200, you can have 2 at 200.
I think so.
Right.
Yeah. What
There's
was
some
the
license.
license on this? I don't even remember. That's almost 8,000.
This is a 100?
We have 500 SEO.
So you're up to a gig. So if you try 2 gig, it should.
Yeah. So download cannot exceed the license. So the other, I didn't talk about within the uplink control, there was a checkbox in the link control configuration for backup. So this will allow you to basically identify one particular link that is only being used as a backup for when the other, like if all the other links from the link controls that are tied to it that are not marked as backup, if they all go down, then this one will take effect. But otherwise, it's not going to use that until all of those other ones fail.
That tells me what I did wrong. So when you mark it as backup, that you're saying that uplink is the backup?
Yes.
Okay.
So again, like I said before, these WAN targets and applications, if you are going to use those and limit the breadth of a particular rule to certain WAN targets or certain applications, then you need to make sure that you have the matching bandwidth queue for that. All right. Any questions on link control or traffic shaping? Anybody need a break? Want to go get some coffee?
Yes.